When a waitress served Baron Trump at a tranquil café, she anticipated little beyond an ordinary shift. Yet, what he left behind, a note and a tip, moved her to tears and ignited a dialogue across the country. The aroma of espresso blended with subtle hints of fresh pastries hung in the air. The afternoon calm had lingered longer than usual, and the buzz of chatter in the café had softened to a whisper. For Dinah, the shift seemed endless. Each tick of the clock dragged on, and every clatter of silverware served as a reminder that she'd been on her feet for hours. She cleaned the final table near the window and glanced at her phone. 1 hour remained. Rent loomed 2 days away, and her phone bill remained unpaid. Tips that day were meager, just loose coins dropped carelessly onto tables by distracted patrons glued to their screens. Dinah sighed, tightened her ponytail, and picked up her order pad. Her manager, an older woman with weary eyes, cast her a look that seemed to say, "Keep going." But Dinah was already in a daze. Then the bell above the entrance jingled. The noise snapped her back to alertness. A young man entered, tall, slim, clad in a simple shirt and trousers that gave him an air of effortless poise. 2 men trailed him, blending almost seamlessly into the scene, their keen gazes scanning every corner of the room. The café wasn't a magnet for notable visitors. It wasn't the sort of spot where you'd expect fame, much less someone arriving with apparent security. Dinah paused, her pen hovering above the pad. But duty took over, and she approached the table in the far corner where the young man had seated himself. "Good afternoon," Dinah said, summoning her warmest smile. "What can I get started for you?" He looked up, and for a brief second, Dinah almost lost her words. His face was memorable, with a quiet composure that felt oddly familiar. Then it hit her. Barron Trump. She'd seen him in news clips over the years, son of a former president. Her pulse quickened, but she stuck to her training. Stay composed. He was just a patron, nothing more. "Just a cappuccino and perhaps a croissant," Barron replied gently, his tone courteous yet restrained. "Sure. Anything else?" He shook his head. "That's all I need. Thanks." His response was simple, but something in his voice, maybe warmth or genuineness, caught her off guard. She jotted down the order, turned toward the counter, and tried to dismiss the flutter in her chest. Was it nerves or fatigue? Either way, the moment lingered. While preparing the coffee, Dinah couldn't resist sneaking a glance at the corner table. She had no clue this brief exchange was about to flip her day, and perhaps her week, upside down. Steam hissed from the cappuccino machine as she frothed the milk. She moved with purpose, keeping steady to quiet the strange, anxious twist in her gut. "Why am I so rattled?" she wondered. "Barron Trump, really?" Her gaze flicked back to him. He sat still, posture upright, yet relaxed. Unlike most customers, he wasn't hunched over a phone or tapping at a laptop. He just gazed out the window at the street, lost in thought, now and then sipping water from the glass she'd brought earlier. When the cappuccino and croissant were ready, Dinah steadied herself. She carried the tray with care and approached his table. "Here you are," she said, setting the cup and pastry down gently before him. He looked up with a faint smile. "Thanks." "Let me know if you need anything," she replied, her voice even but kind. As she turned to head back, something held her in place. Perhaps it was the sense of his gaze lingering, curious, not intrusive, or maybe her own weariness amplifying her awareness. Her heart skipped again. Time ticked by as Dinah wiped down empty tables and restocked sugar holders. The cafe grew hushed once more, with only the soft hum of music drifting from the speakers. The room felt heavier somehow, as if an unseen force nudged her to stay alert. From the corner of her eye, she saw Barron pull a pen from his pocket and bend over the receipt. Finishing his meal, he wrote something swiftly, as if to avoid notice, then folded the paper neatly and slipped it under the empty cup. He rose, collecting his phone and coat. Dinah caught a fleeting glimpse before refocusing. "Thanks for stopping by," she called gently as he walked past. Barron glanced back with a slight smile. "Have a nice day." The words echoed longer than expected. Dinah stood rooted in the cafe's center, watching him leave with his security in tow. The bell chimed once more, and silence returned. She exhaled slowly, grabbed her tray, and headed to clear his table. The cappuccino cup sat empty, a thin ring of foam at its edge. The croissant plate bore only crumbs, and there was the receipt. Dinah lifted it carefully, the folded paper feeling weightier than it should. She first thought of the tip, maybe a generous one, not rare from wealthy patrons who often overcompensated for their distance. But unfolding the receipt stole her breath. Below the total was a figure, a tip so large her stomach lurched. 4 sharp digits. Above it, a handwritten message. "Your kindness and effort don't go unseen. My family's been in your shoes. Hold on, better days are ahead." Dinah's hands shook. She reread the words, slower now, letting them settle. Her eyes darted to the door he'd exited through, and tears welled, blurring her sight. Her legs wobbled. She sank into the chair opposite his and stared at the note. The tip wasn't the point. It was the message. The empathy penned by someone she'd never dreamed would notice her. For the first time in weeks, months even, Dinah felt visible. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she pondered the word's meaning. But the moment wasn't done. Not yet. Another would soon see the note, and Dinah's tale was poised to spread far beyond the cafe's walls. The door's chime broke her reverie. She swiped her tears away, slipping the note into her apron as her manager neared. "You all right?" her manager asked, eyes narrowing with worry. "What's up?" Dinah faltered, searching for words. I'm okay," she said, her voice wavering. "Just a really big tip." Her manager's brow arched, unconvinced. "Big enough to cry over?" Dinah nodded, forcing a shaky chuckle as she offered the receipt. Seeing the amount, her manager whistled low. "Wow, who left this? Corner table?" Dinah's voice dropped. "That was Barron Trump." Her manager blinked. "The Barron Trump? For real?" "Yeah," Dinah said, retrieving the note. "But it's more than the money." She handed it over gingerly, as if it might dissolve. Her manager read it, and a rare tenderness softened her gaze. "Wow," she murmured, returning it. "That's something special." Dinah nodded, refolding the note like a keepsake. "I don't get why he wrote it. I didn't do much." Her manager studied her. "Some folks just sense it, Dinah. They see your struggles, even if you hide them. You're here daily, grinding, kind to everyone, even the rude ones." Maybe he noticed. Dinah swallowed hard. She hadn't grasped how much she craved those words. For months, she'd stayed afloat. Double shifts for rent, skipping meals for her mom's meds. Kindness was all she'd clung to, and somehow he'd seen it. Soon, a quiet buzz stirred the cafe. Co-workers murmured near the pastry case, nodding toward Barron's table. Word spread fast. A barista approached her. "You waited on him, right?" the girl asked, voice tinged with awe. "What did he say? Was he cool?" Dinah smiled faintly. "Yeah, he was nice." "I'd lose it," the barista giggled. "So wild." Dinah stayed quiet. Sharing the note or tip felt like exposing something sacred. For now, it was hers alone. Her shift blurred by. Each task felt lighter, each table easier to clear. When she shed her apron, the note stayed safe in her pocket. On the subway home, she held the receipt again, tracing the words. "My family's been in your shoes. Hold on. Better days are ahead." She murmured them, testing their reality. He didn't need to write that, she thought. He didn't need to care. But he did. As the train rumbled, Dinah shut her eyes and dared to hope, for once, that things might improve. But she didn't know this quiet spark would soon roar louder than she'd ever pictured. The note's secrecy wouldn't last. The next morning, sunlight barely crept through Dinah's window when her phone hummed. Groaning, she checked it. Notifications swarmed her screen. "Why's everyone texting?" she muttered, scanning the texts. "Girl? You? You're famous. True story?" A link caught her eye. A Daily Post headline, "Barron Trump leaves Waitress, a heartfelt note and big tip. Internet goes wild." Dinah jolted upright, heart pounding as she tapped the link. The piece recounted it all. A weary waitress, a surprise visitor, a note of compassion, and a life-altering tip. A photo showed the note, her note, in Barron's tidy script. Her hands trembled as she scrolled. "How?" A co-worker's text explained, "Table 5 guy. Someone saw it. Snapped a pic. It's everywhere." Her stomach sank. Everywhere. Social media confirmed it. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The note had exploded. Comments flooded in. "This is what we need. Barron Trump's got heart. This is pure gold. What about the waitress? Hope she's good." Dinah felt swamped. Strangers dissected her life, blind to her reality. She dropped her phone and hid her face. "Now what?" she whispered. Her mom's cough from the next room grounded her. Bills and groceries loomed. She couldn't unravel now. Yet, heading to work, unease gnawed at her. She wasn't ready for her tale to go global. The café felt altered. Eyes met her as she entered. Co-workers grinned with newfound pride. Regulars peeked up, verifying her as the article's waitress. Her manager beamed. "Local hero now," she teased. "Don't feel it," Dinah mumbled. "You should," her manager said, patting her shoulder. "Yesterday was rare, Dinah." Not everyone gets that. It should have soothed her. But Dinah felt bare. She wasn't unique, just a waitress working. Barron hadn't sought fame. Tying her apron, she sensed unseen stares. She dodged morning queries, smiling stiffly at mentions of "that sweet guy," or his words. By lunch, it peaked. A news crew rolled up. Cameras, mics, all of it. "Really?" Dinah sighed, watching them hover by the door, talking to her manager. Her gut twisted as a reporter waved politely. "Town's darling now," a co-worker ribbed. "Sure," Dinah muttered. Behind the counter, she skimmed headlines on her phone. Comments surged. That note saved her. Kindness 101. Small acts, big impact. More of this. Amid the storm, a spark of hope flickered. It wasn't just her story now. It was about kindness, proving tiny deeds still mattered. But one choice remained, shaping her story's end. Shift's end shrank the café, attention suffocating. She slipped out back, dodging the lingering crew. Her sneakers hit pavement, and she exhaled, shedding unseen gazes. The walk home was still, too still. Streets felt off, the world slightly askew. Dinah gripped her bag, note secure inside. Her phone buzzed. "Dinah, TV wants you. Morning show. Call me." Her manager. She stopped, rooted to the sidewalk. TV? Her story? No, she didn't want that spotlight. But a whisper nudged, wouldn't it be good to clarify? To say it's not cash or fame? Kindness counts? Dinah eyed her phone, then stashed it. She'd decide later. At home, her mom sat in her recliner, flipping channels. A TV voice rang out. A humble note from Barron Trump to a diligent waitress warms hearts nationwide. Dinah froze. The screen showed a blurred receipt, her note, with a headline, "A silent kindness stirs a national chat." Her mom glanced up, coughing lightly. "That's you, right?" Dinah sighed, dropping her bag. "Yeah, Mom, me." Her mom's eyes warmed as she beckoned Dinah near. "It's good, you know. Folks need this tale." "Didn't want it," Dinah grumbled, arms crossed. "Good finds you unasked sometimes," her mom said softly, squeezing her hand. "His words, they're rare. People talk because they crave kindness still. You're in that now." Dinah's throat tightened. "It's too much, Mom. I don't deserve it." Her mom shook her head. "Number you grind daily for us. Kind when you're spent. That's you, Dinah. Someone saw it. Reminded you you're enough." Tears brimmed, and Dinah let them fall. Her mom was right. The note transcended her. It was hope. Proof small acts held weight. Kindness endured. That night, in bed, her phone buzzed again. She ignored it. More noise. Questions. But the note rested under her pillow. Proof someone unexpected saw her. Dinah felt less unseen. The next day, she chose. She called her manager. "Tell the show I'll do it," she said softly. "Sure?" Her manager gasped. "Yes, but not the money. Just the note. Kindness. That's it." The interview was straightforward. Dinah sat, hands clasped tight, as the host leaned in. "Dinah, you've shown lately due to something surprising. A note and tip from Barron Trump. How did it feel reading it first?" Dinah paused, weighing her words. "It stunned me. Not the cash. The message. I've had rough days. And those words hit deep." The host nodded. It read, "Your kindness and effort don't go unseen. My family's been in your shoes. Hold on. Better days are ahead." What did he mean? Dinah met the camera, speaking to all beyond the host. "I think he meant struggles touch everyone. Any family, any life. At your lowest, a small kindness shifts it all. Shows you're seen. Not alone." The room stilled, her words settling. The host smiled. "Lovely, Dinah. Anything for Barron if he's watching?" Her voice trembled, but she smiled. "Just thanks. Not for money, but seeing me, for hope. You did more than you know." Post-interview, Dinah skipped her phone. No comments, no headlines. She worked next day, apron snug, steps lighter. The café hummed. Customers' smiles shifted, not from her tale, but her newfound presence. Notes appeared on napkins. Tips grew. Thank yous rang true. Dinah kept Barron's note in her wallet, a lasting token that small acts matter, that a few words can spark hope. Sometimes, a tiny kindness alters a life. A word, a hand, a nod you matter. Who can you lift today? Brighter days near for us all. We just need a nudge.